This is Adaline Asia Editor for ClickZ. So thank you, Patrick, for accepting the interview. And I would like to ask you, in terms of what you're doing with the policies for Google, could you kind of share a little bit about what it is like outside of the US? Like, what are you doing in international markets, especially Asia Pacific?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think it gets to a really core point of policy work at Google. So you can imagine you have the legal frameworks around the world. Every country has their own laws and their own decisions about what's appropriate and what's not. As Matt mentioned in our talk earlier, we'll follow the laws. So a really good example is in Germany, a lot of Nazi content is illegal, so we follow the law there. Our policy stuff, though, we like to think of as reflecting our values at Google and as a company. So we apply those globally. So this is the type of content that is not illegal, per se, but is in a gray area where it might offend people, it might be controversial for a reason, and those are the calls that we're making. So anything that we do for .com, we try to do around the world as well. So we're constantly thinking about things like hate speech and explicit material in other markets. It can be difficult, and Matt kind of spoke to the difficulties with scaling that, but our goal is when we make a policy, we try to apply it globally so that everywhere in the world will be treated the same.
And also because, particularly in Asia Pacific, you've got Japan, China, and different markets, and each of them have it in different languages.
Yeah.
So is that something you're looking at?
Yeah. So we have, we've done our best to kind of learn what these types of content look like in different languages, and we can always improve that. And sometimes we still need to do manual work, which is part of my job, to make that better. But we are constantly thinking about it, and we're absolutely thinking about it in local languages as well.
And I noticed that you also have the cheat sheet that you came out with.
Yeah.
So is that applicable in other markets, and how strict do you follow that for the teams in those markets?
Yeah, it's a good question. We try to abide to those rules that I mentioned, sort of preference for algorithmic action over manual action, comprehensiveness, not shocking users, and helping users protect their personal information. We feel like those are globally applicable ideas. So for us, when we approach policy, we definitely keep those in mind.
And during the presentation, you also mentioned about breaking news, like what happened with the Boston bombing, and suddenly something became topical.
Yeah.
So how do you go about as things go on and perception change about things?
Yeah.
How do you kind of go with the flow or adapt to a new situation?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it kind of speaks to the nature of search. I mean, it's very fluid. Queries, features, their results will change all the time based on what's actually out there, because we're trying to reflect the web. So when something like the Boston bombing happened, it was a terrible incident, and it made certain terms spike in popularity very quickly. How we deal with that? That's a kind of ongoing question internally. A lot of times there will be a lot of media focus on something, and that will help boost things, and we can see in the models which terms are becoming very popular. And so we just need to be careful to apply our policies as consistently as we can, how we've stated it to the public, and also really respecting that newsworthy component. We don't ever want to be in a place where we're censoring things that we think could be newsworthy or otherwise useful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks so much, Adaline from ClickZ Asia. Bye.